Hi everybody, this is Oksana. In this video we're going to be making this very crisscrossing pendant here, and it doesn't have any swirls for those of you that don't like swirls, and it has lots of crisscrosses. So if you want to see how to make this pendant, just keep watching. For our wire, we're going to be using some square 20 gauge dead soft copper and some 24 gauge half round wire. Both of these spools are from riogrande.com. This is dead soft copper also. For my tools, I'm going to be using wire cutters. These are the Swanstrom brand, and pliers. These are the Lindstrom pliers that are the RX 7890. And my stone is a round Peach Moonstone. It is a Cabochon, but it happens to be faceted here on the front. As you can see, you could use an oval stone as well. It doesn't have to be round, and it measures a little bit less than an inch, as you can see here. So for measuring it in millimeters, it's probably about 23 millimeters, but anywhere in that vicinity is fine. You can use a slightly smaller or larger stone. If it's significantly larger, you might want to consider sizing up from the 20 gauge square wire to 19 or 18, just to make it more sturdier to hold a larger stone. We're going to start with 3 pieces of those 20 gauge square copper wires, and we are going to make them about 15 inches long, which is quite long, and that's mainly because there is one of them needs to be long, and it's easier just to make them all the same length than to have all different length wires here lined up. But you could theoretically make some of them shorter in the future once you get comfortable with this design. They don't all have to be this length if you wanted to save some wire. So I'm just trying to figure out where the middle of these is, and that's where I'm going to hold it, and that's where I'm going to make that connection. So to make the connection, I'm just grabbing my half round wire, and I'm getting it started by taking the little tail end of it and just wrapping it around the flat side down, the rounded side up. So this little connection normally doesn't have to be very long to just keep the 3 wires together, but as part of this particular design, I'm going to make it a smidge longer than usual. So I am guiding it now. This is connected to the spool. I wrap the little tail end around, and when you get to this side where it's connected to the spool, you have to guide and turn. You can't just wrap it around like that because it gets twisted. So just guiding and turning just like this, and I think that should be good. It's just a smidge longer than normal. So I'm going to trim the little ends here, and I'm going to trim them on the same side so that they will get hidden, and I'm going to press down on them like this and that, and just press across this whole thing. You want your wrap to be nice and tight, so if there's little spaces between these wraps, you can try to just kind of squish it together with your pliers, bring it together like this. And now I'm going to make a point. This design has a point on the bottom. So the way that you want this point to be is so that the wire ends are here on the inside, not here. This is going to be the exposed outside part. So I'm going to bend an angle about like this into this frame. This is going to be our frame. I'm going to take my stone. I'm going to see how that looks, because this will vary with your stone. So if I put this stone here, you can see the little gap that forms here on the bottom is quite small. So you could bend the angle to be a little bit more and make this gap a little bit larger, but it's up to you. It's all about what you prefer in your design. I'm actually just going to leave it like that. And now you want to put it down on a flat surface and just bend the frame around the stone. I'm just doing it mid-air in front of the camera here so you can see better, but I find that it's easier to do on a flat surface. So as I'm bending the frame, you can see it's going around my stone here. Like this. And then when it comes to these wires, they're kind of crisscrossing each other right now, but I'm actually just going to bend them like this so that they no longer crisscross each other, because I want to bring them together. And it's hard to bring them together unless I have access to them and they're not crossing each other. All right, so just kind of doing it this way for now, but then I'm going to put my stone back in so I can actually see, and I'm going to try to line it all up nice and straight and symmetrical. Like, I don't want the wires to be coming together off center, for example, like too much on one side. So as you're looking and checking, you want to put little bends in these wires, just bending side to side to side, and that's going to bring them together like this. And that is our frame. You can reinforce the bends that you just made by going in there with your pliers and just making the bends a little bit sharper if you want. Maybe press like this as well. And then when you are satisfied with that, we are going to connect them by using that same half round wire that we were using earlier. So flat side down. These are all nicely stacked together. There's 3 and 3, so total of 6 wire ends coming out here. And I'm just wrapping this tail end around to connect all of those wires together like this. And then I'm taking it and putting it from back to front through this gap here and just pulling it, pressing on it a little bit, and then you can trim it off to get rid of it. And then you can even just kind of press it in there so you can't see that little wire end. And so our bail is going to be made of the front 2 wires. So if you just kind of follow them along, you can see them here on the front. And you can go ahead and bend them forward like this. And with this wire, it's connected to the spool. So we're going to have to turn the piece and guide the wire. And we are going to wrap it around just those 2 wires. So just turn and have it go around the 2 wires. We're just continuing that half round wire. And I'm going to do this until this is about 3/4 of an inch long. That's just what I prefer for the size of my bales. Feel free to make your bale longer or shorter. So I'm just going to do this real quick off camera because it's just very repetitive. I'm just going to be turning and turning and turning it. When you're done with that, you want to trim it here in the back. The back is going to be this side here. So if you're looking, this is the front, and this is the back. And now you just want to press down on that little wire end so it's not sticking up, and just press down across this whole little wrap here, just like that. Now we're going to separate these wires. There's 2 coming from each side, so we're just going to put them on their respective sides, just like this. And our bail, it is going to, you know, take on that bail shape, but we're not going to form it quite yet because we're going to be using these wires. So we want to put them in a specific place. So just bend it back for now to get it out of the way. So before we lock our stone in, we are going to take not the frontmost wire out of these 2, but the backmost, right, on each side. So the backmost wire on each side is what we're going to be working with. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take it and put it through that frame. It kind of bends it a little bit, so just be careful. And we are going to just have it form like half of a heart. And then when we bend the other one, that'll be the other half. So I'm just putting it through and just kind of straightening it out there and forming like a little heart looking shape, as you can see there. So just trying to get it to be nice and symmetrical. And what you want is, you don't want these to get in the way of your stone, so you can check real quick by popping the stone in to make sure that the wires are above the stone, which they are. And now you can actually go ahead and lock the stone in. So I'm going to lock it in the typical way that I normally do, which is bending these backmost wires onto the stone. Sorry, I know it's hard to see because there's like a million wires everywhere, but we're just bending the backmost wire like this, so it traps one side. And let's do the other side here. All right, now the back of the stone is trapped. And now we're gonna do the front. So for the front, I am going to come in here, wedge my pliers in here, try to get kind of down to this little wrap here and put a little bend in it like this to trap the front. And same thing here. Just try to wedge my pliers down here, a little bend, trying to get it symmetrical on both sides, trapping in those edges, trapping in that stone from the front. And you can adjust this later if you need to. So let's keep working on these wires here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend it from the back to the front like this. I'm gonna start with one of them and then I'll do the other one next. I think that's easier. So I'm bending it across just like this, trying to keep it straight. Let me kind of use my pliers for that because it has a little bit of a curve in there. All right, and I want it to go kind of right across, and then it's going to go underneath this little bend here. And I'm going to bend it this way. And so if we flip it over to the back, just trim that wire and leave a little end like this. And then we're going to take that end with our pliers and just bend it in there. So I'm just curving it in that direction first, and then I am pressing down on it. and that not only tucks the wire end away, but it just connects the wire to there as well. So now we are going to look at this other side here. I'm just looking at that heart shape. And just kind of adjusting it a little bit. All right, I think that's good. So now I'm bending it also from the back to front. I'm looking at the other side as I do this to make sure that it's looking very similar. Just like that, and then from front to back, just underneath this little bend, kind of where this wrap ends. All right, that looks symmetrical with the other side. So now I can go ahead and trim and tuck away this little wire end into here. Press down on that, and we're done with that. So now we're going to finish up our bail. So what we're going to do is take these two wires here that are coming out of the bail, and there should be a right one and a left one, so just kind of separate them a little bit. That's going to help. You don't want them getting crisscrossed as you do this. And what you want to do is you just want to bend them kind of towards the back here. We're on the back now, and you want to put one through this little triangular kind of gap, and then the other one in the next one over. So from the front, it looks like this. One is going through this gap, and one is through this one, and you don't want them crisscrossing. So you want the left one going through the left gap, the right one going through the right gap. So you just want to kind of curve them into those gaps and make the bail smaller and smaller. As you do that, you can use some pliers if you want, or just use your fingers to just press it all the way down. And then here, the wires might have gotten some curves or bends in them from you putting them through, so I'm just kind of running them through my fingers to straighten them out a little bit. So what you want to do here is you want to take one of them, so I'll start with this right one and bend it to the left, and then this other one I'm going to bend it to the right. And as you're bending it, you just want to look at this little shape, I guess, that's forming up here, because you want it to be symmetrical. So I'm actually going to go in with my pliers here to try and make that look a little bit better. Let's see here. It just looks to me like this wire still has some bends in it, so I'm trying to, oh, the bend is going this way. I'm trying to get rid of that. All right, let's see. There we go. So I put almost like a little manual bend in here just because I'm trying to get them to look a certain way. So let me mess around with the other side now. All right, and you just want them to go like this from front to the back. So I'm just going to press down on that as I bend it all the way to the back. And the reason I'm pressing is I don't want it to move as I'm bending it, move out of place, since I worked so hard to get it symmetrical. Don't want to ruin all that by bending it and having it move out of place. All right, so that looks good to me. That looks symmetrical. They are just bending here around the side from front to back, and now we can trim them here on the back and tuck them away. So I'm just going to trim, but leave a little end. I'll just do both at the same time here. There we go. Leave a little wire end, and then we'll just take that little wire end, kind of bend it this way and press down to tuck it in here. Hide it away. Let's see. Let's do the other side. There we go. We press on this one just a smidge more. All right, let's see. Is that still looking even from the front? I think so. All right, so now we just have these two wires to finish. These are the ones that were on the front here. So what I'm doing is bending them also in this kind of heart shape, but making it smaller than the other one, like this. All right, and then once that is kind of symmetrical and you're happy with that, you want to bend it here, just kind of around this little edge here, from the front to the back like this. And then here we're just going to trim and leave a little wire end. And we're going to take that little wire end and kind of bring it around. It forms almost like a little loop that you're closing up a little loop essentially. Kind of see from the front there. So if you close the loop all the way up, then that wire end will no longer be visible from the front, because you want it to essentially just touch the wire that it's coming from. And if you can still see the little wire end, just kind of press this way to hide it away. So there we go. That first one is connected, and now we're going to do this one on the right here. So I'm just kind of bending that little wire end and pushing it inwards, closing up that little loop. There we go, just like that. So now you shouldn't be able to see that little wire end from the front. And there we go. Alright, so here's the finished piece. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!